Okay, we're back for part 2 of the General Operating Support for Artists grant workshop. I'm going to be navigating a little bit through RISCA's website and then through our online grant system and talking through each of the application questions. So what you're looking at right now is RISCA's homepage. And in order to see our grant programs and the General Operating Support for Artists guidelines, which you should read twice, you'll come up here and click on grants. And so here is our grants page. You can see all of the grants we have throughout the year. Right now, the only grant program that's open for deadline is the General Operating Support for Artists, which we'll click on in a second. I'll also point out that we have links to our grant portals at the top. So here for organizations, do not use this one. And then click here to access the grant portal for individuals. You want to use that one to apply for General Operating Support for Artists. So I'll click onto the General Operating Support for Artists page, which will bring me to the grant guidelines. So this will give me all of the sort of legalese and information that I need about this grant program. So here's some information about the program, a little bio about me in case you're curious more about me, more eligibility, disability, lots of other information. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. So you should read through this really carefully, but I'm going to scroll all the way down through the bottom to some really helpful links. So here you can download a PDF of these grant guidelines in English, Spanish, or English large print. You can also look at the grant question list if you don't want to start working on your grant in the portal. So this will show you what's in the application. And then this last one's super important. It's the evaluation rubric. So this is the rubric that, let's see if it will open. Maybe it will open and maybe it won't. There we go. This is the evaluation rubric that the panelists who are going to be making the decisions will use to score your application. So 10 points for artistic growth, impact and growth, 5 points for artistic vibrancy and intention, and 5 points for community of practice. And then these pieces sort of describe what will get you each score. So this is the same exact document that I will send to the panelists before they score. So back to the grant guidelines, I'm going to scroll up right here and I'm going to click the link to the logon page for individual portal. So this is what the grant portal looks like. And you can see right here, it says grant portal for individuals. So on the organization side, it will say for organizations. So make sure you're on the right one. And I'm gonna then I'll enter my username, which is my email address, and my password to log in. And if you've forgotten your password, you will just use, you can hit the reset password button on there. So here is what the applicant dashboard will look like. So if you've applied for grants before, you'll have historical requests here. So here's my historic requests and then active requests. I don't have any applications open right now that I've started that are in process. So I'm going to go up here and click apply. And then look, it's the only grant application open right now. So I'll click apply right here. And I'll note a couple of things. Again, you can download the question list by clicking this question list right here. And then all the way at the bottom, I get this question a lot, is a save application. So if you're going to work on it a little bit at a time, make sure when you work on it, you go down here and click save application. That'll make sure you save your work. I do always recommend that you work on this in a Word document or a Google Doc or something, just in case, because you never know with technology and it's nice to have a backup somewhere else. So we'll scroll back up to the top. And again, here's those same links to some of the guidelines. And we'll start with eligibility. So the first question is about US residency. Are you a legal resident of the United States with a tax ID number? Hopefully this answer, if your answer is yes, you put yes. If no, you're not eligible for this grant. The next piece is Rhode Island residency. So it's about, have you been living in Rhode Island for at least 2 years? If you're not sure, this should be the place, your home in Rhode Island, whether you rent, whether you are crashing on a couch, whether you're a homeowner, regardless, this should be the address you use on legal forms like state income taxes, car registration if you have that, a driver's license or state issued ID, voter registration, utilities, that sort of thing. This should be your primary address. You need to have lived here for 2 years for this grant. And are you 18 years of age or older? So that's a pretty easy one. And here is the final eligibility screener. Are you currently enrolled in an arts degree seeking program or attending high school full-time? So I will say that some people accidentally get tripped up here because the answers to these 3 first questions should be, if you're eligible, yeah, the answer should be yes, and this one should be no. I have some people who just scroll through and just click yes on accident, and I have to send the application back to them and be like, I'm pretty sure you're not a student, but let me check in. Next piece is artist information. So we have preferred name. This is for folks who may not use their legal name when they're working as an artist for whatever reasons. Because you should use your legal name, the name that will be on your tax information and on your check to register for Foundant. Just for ease in payment process, those names need to be matched, but we want to make sure that we're identifying you correctly and accurately. So preferred name, that's required. And then pronouns, which is not required. And if you're curious about why we ask for pronouns, what this is and why it matters, there's a link here. I encourage you to check that out if you're not familiar. Again, that's not a required question. And then we get to the narrative questions. So this is the piece where in a typical grant application, you have to write the answers. So here, what's different is for these narrative questions, in addition to writing, you could also do a video or audio recording. Again, no special effects, no editing, no work samples snuck in, just you talking, just you answering the questions. And you'll submit that answer via like a YouTube link or a Vimeo link or something. You'll just put the link right in that chat in the box, and the panelists will listen or watch. So 3 ways: writing, just talking, or video of you talking. So here are the narrative questions. The first one is, who are you as a person and an artist? So what is important to you? Talk about your art practice and your art form. Maybe talk a little bit about your aesthetic or genre, and then also talk about what you want to spend the next year focusing on in your art practice. So for example, for me in my art practice, which is really craft-based, I am really focusing on increasing my production of my work, the amount of work that I'm making, and also increasing the amount of sales. So I'm pretty happy with what I'm making. I just want to make more and sell it. So that's what I will be focusing on for the next year. But I would also include things about why I'm doing this and why I'm excited about it and who I am and how that's connected, right? The second question is impact. Why is this grant important to you as an artist and as a person? How will it move your artistic practice or the business supporting your artistic practice forward? So in addition to talking about what impact this will have on you, you also want to say, like, okay, if I can spend a year, if I have $6,000 for the next year, I can rent a studio, which will enable me to do X, Y, and Z, or I'll be able to buy this piece of equipment, which will enable me to do X, Y, and Z, or I'll be able to have childcare, so I'll just be able to make more work. Something like that. Like, why is this grant important, and what will you be able to do with it? The third question is defining success. So success is a really personal thing. And I really want to encourage y'all to think deeply about what success means and looks like to you. Because it doesn't, my version of success is different than yours, is different than the person sitting next to you right now, if anybody's sitting next to you right now. So think about what success looks like to you as an artist and as a person. Think deeply about what your goals are and what you hope to learn over the next year on the way to that success. So the goals and the learning should support your definition of success. And then the final narrative question is community of practice. This community of practice is really broadly defined and is going to be different for every single person. So for some of y'all, you might be really deeply engaged in the artistic discipline and might be active on, a national board of a service organization for your specific discipline, like SNAG. Or it might be, you might be deeply thinking about who your work is for. So if you're a teaching artist, your community of practice might be the folks that you're interacting with as you're working with them teaching. It could be place-based. So I live in Central Falls, and it could be that I'm really deeply embedded. I mean, I'm not, but I could be really deeply embedded in my community and really focused on my geographic community and the folks around me rather than a discipline-based or an aesthetic-based community of practice, or a broader community. It could be if you're a writer and you have something like a critique circle that you meet with regularly, those folks are members of your community of practice. If you're in an artist studio building and you're really collaborative and you're really supportive of each other, that could be part of your community of practice. So it's really the folks that you are interacting with, that you're serving, that are serving you, that you're sort of working in a symbiotic relationship with, thinking about who your work is for and how you make it and how these folks are engaged. So you want to talk about who those people are and then how you interact with that community. And again, community means vastly different things to vastly different people. So define that in a way that makes sense for you and your artistic practice. Support materials. So the first thing you'll need to upload is a resume, a CV, or artist bio. Again, like everything else, I really encourage you to upload the thing that you already have done and whichever one works best for you. So if you have like a really good short bio that you love, but you don't like your CV, use your bio, right? Don't spend 5 hours touching up your CV just for this grant. However, if you want to spend 5 hours touching up your CV, in general, for other grants, maybe you do that. Maybe you use this grant as a push to get you there. The second piece is a link to your artist website. If you have it, it's not required. So if you have an artistic website, please put the link there. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Again, artist social media, this should be your artist or professional account. For a lot of artists, that's one and the same of their personal account. That's fine. It just should have some reflection of your artistic practice and show who you are and what you're making and why, if possible. So you can submit links of up to 3 social media accounts. You can submit links to none if you don't have any, or if that's not how you're communicating with folks, that's fine. Hopefully you have a website. Hopefully you have one of those things. Then we'll ask for a letter of recommendation. So this is just a 1-page letter. I would address it to whom it may concern or to the panel. And it should be from someone that you respect, whatever that means to you, and somebody that can speak to your potential as an artist. So they just want to write a 1-page sort of letter that shows that you're connected to this community, that somebody believes in you and thinks about your potential. And the person that you respect can be anyone. It could be a former teacher, but it can also be the person that you share a studio with or your best friend. I hope you respect your best friend, right? But somebody who is familiar with your artistic practice and wants to talk about that and is excited about you growing. And then the work samples. So you can submit, because remember that all of the panelists are reading a lot of applications. So we have to limit your work samples a little bit. So you can submit a maximum of 3 of the following: up to 10 images, up to 15 minutes of video, up to 15 minutes of audio, up to 30 minutes of writing, or up to 1 full manuscript of dramatic writing for performance. So if your work is, you're a 3-dimensional visual artist and you want to submit 10 images, but you also want to submit a couple of short videos that sort of show a space where your work is installed and can sort of get a more full view, that's great, right? You can submit a maximum of up of 3 of the following. You don't have to submit only images or only video or only audio. You want to make sure you're representing your work as best you can in as many media as you can. And this is also really valuable for the many, many artists that are working across disciplines or multidisciplinary or more than one medium. So we know that a lot of folks are not just working in, static two-dimensional visual art or only music, right? So this can reflect your full artistic practice if you choose to. And you're going to upload these work samples in a Google Drive folder. This is because our online grant portal has a very low maximum file size. And so there's no way we would be able to take work samples of this variety and quantity just within the online system. So you'll upload everything into a Google Drive folder that is anyone can view with a link, or anyone can view with a link and a password, and you'll submit the link right here in this field, as well as the password. And then this is the easy / not easy bit, right? You're gonna look up your state representative in the General Assembly. That means the person that represents you in the state level legislature. We have a big old list. It's alphabetical by first name with the district on the right side. So there's lots and lots of options. And then if you can't find your person, if the seat's vacant, if something's happening and your rep isn't there for anymore for some reason, you can put vacant seat in here. Same with state senator, and then US representative. This is really easy to find. We have a link right here. It's the Secretary of State's site, so you can find your elected officials and you'll just enter your address there. And then finally, assurances. I encourage you to read this. This is legalese, but it's really important because you are essentially signing a legal contract when you submit this application. By hitting yes in the certification, you're saying that you are telling the truth, everything is accurate, everything is your work, you're not plagiarizing anything. And then finally, you want to hit submit application before 11:59 p.m. on July 1st. And that's really all there is to it. Please let me know if you have questions via email, or sign up for a one-on-one meeting, or drop in office hours. I look forward to helping you with this application and reading, watching, listening to all the applications once they come in. Thank you all so much.